Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're taking a look at Brexit and how it affects Nigeria. We're joined by His Excellency Mr. Paul Arkwright, who is the British High Commissioner to Nigeria. I know you did say that Nigerians are still very much welcomed to the UK, but we've seen how Polish communities, looking at horrible graffiti that's popped up in those areas, some sort of bad emotion being given through in, and many think that there just might be a rise of xenophobia. Do you share that view?
Well, the first thing to say is that I strongly condemn any racist or xenophobic attacks, whether that's graffiti, whether that's physical attacks or verbal abuse. That is not acceptable in a tolerant society, and the Prime Minister made very clear in the House of Commons the very day after that, you mentioned the Polish incident was discovered, he made clear that that was completely unacceptable. So the government will take action against those who are responsible for that. I think what is clear is that the referendum and the outcome of the referendum have aroused very strong feelings, very strong emotions, passions on both sides of the argument. I think it'll take a while for that to settle down, if you like, but it will settle down. I'm sure that these are isolated incidents. As I said earlier, Britain is an open and a tolerant society at heart, and I'm sure that we will continue to do so. So Nigerians in the UK, certainly if they have come across any instances of any xenophobia, as you say, should report those to the police. Action will be taken against those who are responsible for that. But my feeling is that once those passions, that emotion has calmed down a little bit in the UK, then the incidents that you talked about will certainly reduce.
How do you know this is going to come down?
Well, I go back to what I said earlier about Britain is a tolerant society at heart. I don't think that has changed by the outcome of the referendum. My own personal experience of living in the UK is a very positive one. The Nigerians that I talk to, the Nigerian friends that I know in London will tell me that their experience is a positive one. I can go by my own personal experience, but also by the fact that we will take, the government, the law enforcement agencies will take firm action against anybody responsible for that kind of behaviour, which is unacceptable. And I think that it will calm down. I don't see Britain turning into an intolerant, closed society, whatever the rhetoric is at the moment.
Looking at business again and looking at some other activities of Nigerians doing business with the UK, this is the third time we're going to see in 30 years the pound taking a dip after that exit. What's your take concerning the economy of the United Kingdom?
Well, you're right. The sterling took a bit of a beating, as they say, immediately after the referendum outcome was known. It has come back in the markets to some extent. The markets are going to be volatile. Markets don't like uncertainty. There is, of course, a degree of uncertainty now in the United Kingdom, political uncertainty, until such time as a new Prime Minister has been appointed. And of course we need to see what the nature of the negotiations will be with the European Union in the 2 years that will follow the triggering of this Article 50 process. But the fundamentals of the British economy are strong, and the government has taken steps to bring, as the Prime Minister said, to bring the economy back from the brink when after the crash of 2008 and 9 the UK economy was in a very bad state. It isn't anymore. It is growing, has the highest growth rates, one of the highest growth rates among the G20. The conditions for business are good there. So we have confidence in the British economy. It has withstood shocks before. The Governor of the Bank of England made a statement immediately after the outcome of the referendum saying that steps had been made by the Bank of England to take action as necessary to strengthen the pound and to help the banks and the economy. Clearly have been contingency plans which were made, and those are now being implemented. But in any period of uncertainty, the markets will be volatile. That's what we're seeing in the UK, not just, of course, in the UK, but around the world. I'm confident that that volatility will settle down, and that we can continue to thrive and the economy continue to do well, and, of course, remain open for business.
Well, the question is a little compounded, because yesterday we do know that UK, well, former Prime Minister now, because he's resigned, was in a meeting with fellow EU members, and they had a meeting. He described the meeting as a very sad one. He said that fellow members of the EU were deeply saddened by the fact that they were leaving. And eventually, people are wondering, do you think that sort of sentiment, do you think that there is going to be some form of acrimony in terms of how the UK is going to be dealing with the fellow EU members?
Well, first of all, I should say that the Prime Minister resigned, but remains Prime Minister until a new Prime Minister is appointed. So he is still the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom until such time as his successor is appointed, and indeed his whole cabinet is still very much in place. This question of acrimony, as you put it, and the relationship with other leaders, as you know, the Prime Minister himself argued very strongly in favour of remaining in the European Union. Clearly, that was not the outcome. He clearly has said that he regrets that decision, but respects that decision, and he is now busy implementing it. I think other European leaders that he met last night, yesterday, in Brussels at the summit that you referred to, understood that position, understood that we had a democratic exercise, that the people have voted to leave the European Union. Yes, indeed, they were sad about it. But they also want to move on to the next step. They want to decide how it is, what kind of relationship they want to have and we want to have with the European Union. So that negotiation, those discussions between the UK and the European Union over the next 2 years, a little bit more than 2 years, are going to be fundamental to that relationship. And we'll see how that evolves. In my view, and having lived and worked in Europe for many, many years as a diplomat, the European countries have a very clear interest in ensuring that there is a strong relationship, a strong economic trading relationship with the United Kingdom, because we are a big market. And equally, businesses in the UK who trade regularly with European Union countries will want to ensure that the conditions are there for that to continue. So I think that will be one of the key pillars of that negotiation that I've referred to, ensuring that that trading relationship remains strong in whatever form or shape that takes. I don't know what shape that will be, but I'm certain that we will reach a deal in which the trading relationship can continue, and that's obviously important to both sides.
How soon do you think the UK will be triggering Article 50?
So the Prime Minister said that will be a choice for the new Prime Minister. And he's also said that he thinks that the new Prime Minister should be in place by the time of the Conservative Party conference in October. There is a process in the Conservative Party. It's quite complicated, but it has now been triggered. Today is the day in which nominations for the party leader of the Conservative Party, who will de facto then become the Prime Minister, nominations have opened today. There will be clearly a number of candidates, and a process which will run through to September, possibly towards the end of September. At that point, and after a Prime Minister has been appointed, then it will be a decision for that Prime Minister and his or her government to trigger Article 50. That is a sovereign decision for the UK. I don't think it will happen before October, but I'm sure it will happen fairly shortly and thereafter.